As many of us can be aware of the fact that schizophrenia is a serious, chronic, and recurring mental disorder and really not very uncommon in our communities. Generally speaking, there is no cure for this dreadful disease, but by taking various antipsychotic medicines regularly, many individuals do very well with minimal symptoms. It is worth mentioning that schizophrenic patients can be managed more easily if they are diagnosed at an earlier stage before the disease becomes chronic. The purpose of this video is an attempt to provide detailed basic knowledge about the disease to the layperson, enabling them to spot or suspect the disease rather at an earlier stage in their loved ones, friends, or acquaintances, and to bring them to the concerned medical professional for consultation. Doubtlessly, that would be a huge help to them. The following symptoms of the condition are presented in a most simplified manner for a layperson, and by keeping this information in mind, one can easily spot or suspect a schizophrenic patient in their close surroundings. The main symptoms of the disease fall into three categories. 1. Disorganizes speech. 2. Hallucinations. 3. Delusions. We will briefly discuss them one by one in the most simple way. The characteristic disorganized speech of individuals with schizophrenia itself carries many hints for anyone who has some knowledge about this disorder to at least suspect that the speaker might be having that condition. Mostly the speech is totally incoherent and meaningless, in which they jump from one topic to another topic without any logical apparent connection. As a result, the listener finds it very hard to get any meaning out of their talking. Besides that, they will always give irrelevant answers to the questions if asked. Number 2. Hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations are one of the most common type of hallucinations. Auditory hallucinations involve hearing sounds or voices that are not real and are not coming from the external environment. Let's explore auditory hallucinations in more detail with some examples. Number 1. Voices. One of the most typical types of auditory hallucinations in schizophrenia is hearing voices. These voices can be perceived as coming from inside the person's head or from an external source. Example: Mark hears a voice saying, "You're worthless, nobody likes you." The voice is persistent and makes him feel depressed and unworthy, even though there is no one actually speaking those words to him. Number 2. Commanding voices. Another type of auditory hallucination involves hearing voices that give commands or orders. These voices can be demanding, forceful, or insistent, and may urge them to engage in self-harming behaviors, thus creating dangerous situations. Moreover, these commanding voices are so insistent that the person has no option but to believe. They must comply with the instructions. Example: Sarah hears a voice commanding her to harm herself. The voice is loud and compelling, making her feel a strong urge to follow its instructions, even though she knows it's not real. Number 3. Conversations. Some individuals with schizophrenia experience auditory hallucinations in the form of conversations between two or more voices. These voices can interact with each other or even with the person experiencing the hallucination. Example: John hears two voices, a male and a female, engaged in a conversation about him. They discuss his thoughts and actions, and criticize his behavior, making him feel constantly watched and judged. Number 4. Whispers or muttering. Auditory hallucinations can also manifest as whispers or indistinct muttering sounds. These voices may be difficult to understand clearly, leaving the person with a sense of paranoia or confusion. Example: Lisa hears whispers that she cannot fully make out. She believes people are conspiring against her, plotting to harm her, even though the words remain unintelligible and vague. Number 5. Abusive or threatening voices. Some individuals with schizophrenia hear voices that insult, demean, or threaten them. These voices may be aggressive, cruel, or malicious, causing significant distress and impacting the person's self-esteem. Example: David constantly hears a voice calling him names, telling him that he is worthless, and threatening him with physical harm. These constant abusive remarks make him feel frightened and worthless. Number 6. Noises and sounds. Auditory hallucinations can also involve noises, sounds, or music that are not present in reality. These sounds can range from subtle noises to loud and intrusive sounds. Example: Rebecca hears the sound of footsteps following her, even though she is alone. She feels constantly on edge, believing someone is watching him. Number 7. Sustained commentary, where individuals hear a continuous voice that narrates or comments on their thoughts, actions, or the surrounding environment. Example: Marshall hears a voice that continuously comments on his every move, saying, "He is walking down the street," "He is picking up the book," or "He is feeling anxious." This commentary intrudes upon his daily activities. Now we come to the visual hallucinations. Individuals with schizophrenia experience visual hallucinations that involve perceiving visual images that are not actually present in the external environment. Number 1. People or figures. Individuals experiencing visual hallucinations may see people, human-like figures, or entities that others cannot perceive. These visual hallucinations can range from realistic-looking individuals to distorted or fantastical beings. Example: Jane sees a shadowy figure standing in the corner of her room, even though no one is actually there. The figure appears menacing and causes her significant distress. Number 2. Animals or creatures. Visual hallucinations can also involve perceiving animals or imaginary creatures. These hallucinated animals can be domesticated animals, wild animals, or entirely fantastical beings. Example: Mark sees a small black cat running across his living room, even though he does not own a cat and there are no pets in the vicinity. The cat appears vivid and lifelike to him. Number 3. Objects. Visual hallucinations can involve seeing inanimate objects that are not present. These objects can be ordinary or bizarre, and they may appear solid, transparent, or distorted. Example: Sarah sees a bouquet of flowers on her table, even though there are no flowers present. The bouquet appears colorful and detailed as if it were real. Number 4. Shadows or movement. Some individuals experience visual hallucinations in the form of moving shadows or objects. These hallucinations can involve perceiving movements, changes in shapes, or shadows where none exist. Example: John sees curtains swaying in the breeze, even though the windows are closed, and there is no draft. The movement of the curtains appears fluid and natural to him. Now we come to olfactory hallucinations, also known as phantasmia, involve perceiving smells or odors that are not actually present in the environment. Number 1. Unpleasant odors. Olfactory hallucinations can involve perceiving unpleasant or foul smells that others cannot detect. These smells can be intense and persistent, and may cause discomfort or distress. Example: Sarah smells a strong, rotting odor that permeates her surroundings, even though there is no source of the smell. The odor makes her feel nauseated and causes her to avoid certain places. Number 3. Chemical or metallic odors. Olfactory hallucinations can involve perceiving chemical or metallic smells that are not present in the environment. These odors can be strong, sharp, or unusual. Example: Emma smells a strong smell of bleach, similar to a cleaning agent, in her bedroom, even though she has not used any cleaning products. The smell causes her to feel concerned about her safety. Number 4. Burnt or smoky odors. Some individuals experience olfactory hallucinations in the form of burnt or smoky smells as if something is on fire. These smells can be alarming and evoke a sense of danger. Example: John smells a strong, smoky odor in his living room, even though there is no fire or smoke. The smell makes him anxious and prompts him to search for signs of a fire. Number 4. Food or cooking odors. Some individuals experience olfactory hallucinations related to food or cooking smells. They may perceive the scent of specific dishes or ingredients that are not being cooked or consumed. Example: John frequently smells the aroma of freshly baked bread in his home, even though no bread is being baked. The scent makes him crave bread and feel hungry. And finally, delusions. Delusions are one of the leading symptoms of schizophrenia, which are in fact false, fixed beliefs that are not based on reality and are not changed, even when presented with contradictory evidence. Here are some common types of delusions experienced by individuals with schizophrenia. In one type of delusion, they have a firm belief that they are being threatened, harassed, or conspired against by others. They may believe they are being followed and targeted for harm. The other type of delusion involves an exaggerated sense of self-importance, power, a famous person, or a religious figure. Now, if you keep these few symptoms in mind, you can easily identify an individual in your close surroundings who might be living with schizophrenia without medical treatment. Remember, the final diagnosis of the condition is the job of a medical professional. But if you help them consult a concerned medical professional for medical treatment, in my opinion, you have done your job.